McCoy.
Dead, Jim.
He's dead, Doctor.
He's dead, Jim. He's dead. He's dead, Captain. The man is dead.
He's dead, sir.
He's dead, Jim.
That man's dead back there.
The captain is dead. Is this a dead man, Doctor? Very dead, Mr. Spock. He was worse than dead. His brain is gone.
Hello and welcome everybody, I am SocioPsycho and this is Mob Reviews, and today we're going to take a look at Morningstar Descent to Deadrock. This was created by Red Herring Labs, and it is a Escapist Sci-Fi point and click adventure. But how well does the game actually handle? And that's what we'll be answering here today. Now, they do not have a options menu, but you can see there is a way to turn off music or sound. Graphic options there are none, as the game is done through animation, which is actually quite well, although these are small spurts as rewards throughout the story in the beginning and the end, and one time in the middle I do believe. And the rest of it is done by still picture images as you're used to. The resolution on the screen, 1920 by 1080 at 30 frames per second. Now, it's very simplistic in its visualization, its graphic capability, and everything that it needs to do, so 30 frames for a game like this is perfectly fine. There have been no issues when it comes to tearing, clipping, or crashing. The only performance problem I have, unfortunately, that I have to state, is a small programming bug where, due to how the level layout is, sometimes you're able to accomplish a task that precedes the mission that you're currently on. While this is good in a range that gives you freedom to sort of move about a little bit more, the fact is it doesn't recognize that this task that you skipped is completed. And this may come down to well, you can't go back now and complete that task. For an example, in the first starting ship as you crash to a planet, you need to open a pod door for one of your companions who has died. But if you open that door before you actually look at him and examine on the pod door, then you'll get stuck. Because after he's out and the pod door is open, you can't go back and close it. But it won't allow you to progress forward either, because that objective needs to be completed. There was an issue dealing with a similar situation later on in the game, and while the game may only run to 2 to 3 hours, when I hit this issue, it definitely did draw me out of my immersion, and definitely said, wow, that kinda sucks, because now I have to start all over again. Even though getting to the point I was, because it's a point and click, wasn't very hard to do, it was still an immersion breaker. Was it a game breaker? That one is tough to say. So when we talk about this story, what exactly is happening is that you and your crew fly this little ship, and you get caught in a disturbance-al atmospheric sort of wave, and your ship goes down onto a planet. When this happens, some of your crew dies, you're stranded on this planet, your ship's damaged, and you have to try to figure out where you are, how to repair your vessel, and how to escape this rock. Now, it's not a ticking clock. It's not like if you don't complete this mission in this time, then you'll die. But the whole premise of the game, the entire atmosphere, is one of, I need to escape, because that is my objective, to reach safety, to survive. In between the story, how it's written and told as it progresses through is done well. It has some written lines in it which are comedic, and it breaks up the atmosphere here and there. In the beginning of the game, the voice acting is very heavy, and unfortunately the voice acting in the game is rather bad. It's not your standard. It really sounds like they just took somebody off the street, or it was the developers themselves. Which is a bit unfortunate, because in a game like this where there's so much talking, can really make or break the experience. In the beginning of the game, they talk a lot and it's very heavy, and in between the difficulty spike in the beginning of the game versus the story, it's really hard to push through and continue as it breaks up and gets a little easier, because the middle of the game towards the end is a lot more open and there was a lot less dialogue involved, so you didn't have to listen to the voice acting that's done. Is it nails on a chalkboard? No, but it doesn't add to the game, and it does slightly take away from it.
This is Novak. I see you're about to go out into the desert. Now listen, try to take care of yourself. You're my only chance of getting off this planet alive.
The control panel has no power. The wiring has rusted, so there's no way I can supply power to this unit. Better go with brute force again. That may have worked on our ship, but this lock is damaged beyond repair. I need to take another shot at this with something more powerful.
So what is the redeeming quality of the game then? The story is decent so far as we've said, but it's nothing amazing, and it has poor acting of a voice. But it's the gameplay, I feel, that really helps strive and keep it into the clear. The gameplay is not your standard, oh, look at this, I found a paperclip. All I need now is a sheet of paper and a rubber band, and I'll make myself a helicopter and escape to freedom. It's a lot more realistic and in-depth in its mechanical asking. Yes, you need to find items around the world. It doesn't feel so much like a scavenger hunt where I'm looking around and trying to find all the parts and doing this and that, but more of a mechanic in a workshop where you know what parts you need and they're somewhere around the shop, and you just have to combine this with that and understand what the interface that you're trying to build. Or how do I get through this door? Do I need to rewire some code, or do I need to put a panel on the door? As the puzzles all fall down mainly to combinational items in your inventory and having those items react to items in the environment, as there are really no puzzles in the game. A major part of puzzle in the game is when you decipher an alien code, and that is interesting and unique, and I definitely did enjoy that. It's the gameplay that makes you feel like you have to use your brain, and things do fit together to a point so long as you just take the time to think about it. I never felt like I was being discouraged, or I had to continuously be like, oh, what do I do now? Where do I go now? Because one main issue with adventure games, unless you really love the genre, is not having a over-abuse of the hint system. And while I don't feel the game held my hand throughout it, I didn't feel like I needed to be radioing in for a hint every single puzzle. What do I do now? Okay, I found my shoe. What do I do next? Oh, here are my pants. You know, that type of continuational drawl where it's just, you can't do it by yourself, so you just kind of ride the back of the hint system. It doesn't suffer from that, and the hints are actually tied well into the story aspect where you're talking to your companion who's on the ship, who's injured. So at the end of the day, the beginning of the story starts off really rough. It has a good opening cinematic storyboard, throw you in, see what happens. You're like, okay, whoa, this is what's going on. And then as you gather around your ship before you go outside, it's a little slow. It's a little like, oh, there's so much talking, voice acting is bad, and some of this is really makes you feel more like a mechanic than an adventurer. But then again, that's sort of what you are in this game. You're a sci-fi mechanic. Not a soldier, not a warrior, not a traveling adventurer of some nature, or even a detective. You are an engineer. And so it's the fact that they really dove into that concept of engineering your way out of this trouble. Obviously it's not crazy in its engineering capability, as everything ties in well to itself and the story and the puzzles. The story does a very well done job at tying you together with the character that you're portrayed. It doesn't feel like, oh, this is what I need to be investigating, or this is what I need to fix as I portray through this world. And I'm not looking so much at a third person perspective. I am the character. The actions, the storyboard, everything ties together, and you do have this sort of closure that follows through all the way to the end of the game. Minus a few bugs which I did experience, the game's been quite enjoyable. I loved the atmosphere that I experienced in the game. The gameplay was actually very well done, and I never felt like it was too hard or too easy, and it made me run around to fetch quests or some sort of ridiculous scavenger quest. There was no, oh, I'm sorry, you can't progress because you forgot to pick up that penny under the rock on the shore beach with nothing but 1,000 rocks. Like, what? It was very sensible, and because it was sensible and because it respected my time, it's an easy recommend, and I don't regret my time playing it. So ladies and gentlemen, I've been SocioPsycho, and this has been Mob Reviews, and I hope this has been of help to you, and I'll see you next time.